hopefully we will be able to answer all the questions in our attempt to place a Western States Hockey League team into Jasper within our provincial division, bringing the total then to 5, 6, or 7. We're working on several different opportunities at this point. And to my left is Derek Prue is our representative, the league representative in the provincial division. And Derek, why don't you be so kind to talk about what's happening?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, we're very excited today to be announcing conditional approval for Jasper for entry into the division for the upcoming season. The inaugural year for the division has went extremely well. There's some really great rivalries brewing, good fan attendance, and a good a good thing happening all together. I think that's evidenced with Edson Arrows and Hinton Wildcats both being here for support and to represent, and I think that says a lot about the league in general and the division, kind of how it's come to date. So we had a real productive meeting today in town council. A lot of supportive comments made, and they will be continuing to work with us to finalize the lease, hopefully in the next short period of time. And at the same time, we'll continue working with the business model and things like that, get things finalized with the league. And as well, we're very excited to have the prospective investment and ownership group headed up by Chuck Barker. Justin's also here, and I will maybe turn it over to them for comments.
All right, well, I guess it's probably been a little over a year where I've had dialogue and gone to a couple meetings with Derek and also one with Ron. So I've kind of been looking at it, and over that time formulated a small group to work with me. There's currently 4 of us involved. Myself, Justin Melnick here, Alex Dirksen, and Brian Ewald as well, all local people here in town, all with a hockey background. And so we're kind of still in that stage where we're obviously doing our homework, looking at the feasibility of a team here, working hand in hand with these 2 gentlemen to establish hopefully a team here in the future. At this point in time, we've looked at a couple different options, and we're still in the negotiation portion with the league as well. And we're just happy they came to town and we're able to present to council today and lay out that basic framework so we can possibly take the next step with them.
So with that, we can open it up to questions, or we'll all be available for discussion and interview afterwards as well.
What does conditional approval mean? Exactly. Who's approved it conditional?
The WSHL has approved it, and conditions obviously are to finalize things with ownership group, as well as the number one item of importance right now is to have a lease. You need the building to play in first and foremost. So that was really the main topic of discussion with mayor and council earlier today, which I thought went very well.
What were some of the positive comments at council today from the councillors?
Well, I think in general there was support by a vast majority of the council members, to the point where there was even a couple of real positive statements by a couple of them as to not only the benefits of having a team in Jasper, but really the need to have a team in Jasper. And I think we conveyed the things that we can do to support the team from the league level league and the team both can do to support various facets of the sport in Jasper, benefiting youth hockey and other forms of skating that take place in the facility.
Chuck, you just said that you're still in negotiations with the league. The league is in negotiations with the town, basically. I heard the end of February kind of mentioned as a bit of a threshold in terms of teams signing up for a season. Do you have time?
Well, I don't know if that's the ultimate threshold, the end of February. We're also waiting on, there's a bit of a feasibility study being done, I believe, with the town as well, with the facilities and whatnot. So that's under review, and we've kind of been told, you know, that we can move forward with some planning, but you know, I think that's going to be the factor that we have to all wait for in March, and I think that I don't think that that's an exact deadline there.
If I can maybe answer more specifically, the February 28th. February 28th applies to all active teams. All active teams in the Western States Hockey League have to commit for next season by February 28th, and it's not sending me an email or a telephone call. It's literally signing documentation, committing both in writing and financially in writing that they plan to play next year. We have until our annual meeting, which virtually is the last week of May, to confirm all membership and participation for next season, because we actually do the schedule the last day of our annual meeting. So that's the critical, around May 26th or something, which is the Thursday before our U.S. Memorial Day holiday weekend.
So just to confirm, you're saying any current team has till February 28th, but new teams would have until May. Is that
Right.
correct?
Right.
Okay.
Which other communities are you visiting and potentially looking at to expand?
Yeah. Well, we're heading to Slave Lake later today, actually. So they were quite close last year already. So we're going there for a series of meetings, and then Fort Saskatchewan as well as Vegreville are both interested as well. So they are front runners. There's a couple of teams in British Columbia as well, but logistically probably just don't make sense at this point.
Can you say how much the buy-in to this league is? Is there a number that kind of that's back?
Well, I guess it varies from where you are, and I know we're still in the negotiation stage on that. Chuck was interested last year, so that factors into the equation too. So.
Could I hear one of the owners, potential owners, talk about what they see as the biggest obstacles to a team establishing itself here in Jasper? Maybe even in the context of Jasper being a little more kind of unique than other places where teams have established themselves, certainly in terms of housing.
Yeah, we've obviously looked at that, and building, that could be a potential problem. But if you look in the past here, whether it's through the schools, housing, exchange students and whatnot, usually the residents of Jasper are fairly accommodating and stuff like that with those types of things. But we do have we have some other ideas as well, looking at possible dormitory style setup, but it's all quite preliminary. But that's definitely one of the hurdles that we have to look at for sure. Yeah.
Can I assume they're going to be called the Jasper Brewers, or what are we going to call the team?
No, you can't assume anything about the name. But no, we haven't chosen a name yet, but we have a couple ideas. There's lots of work to do before that.
The Wardens. Wardenettes.
Anybody else have any questions of us?
Justin, what does having a team local in Jasper mean to you? We haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, I think it'd be something really positive for the community to get behind. We had senior hockey here years ago, and Chuck was instrumental in organizing that. And community kind of showed when the team came through from Hinton and played their game here. I heard the rink was quite full. Unfortunately, I was out of town, but if there was a chance, I would have been there. So I think it shows Jasper is a hockey town. Sad it is to say, like, our beer league final gets the whole rink's pretty full for the beer league final. So it'd be interesting to see how full we get the rink every night for kids that are looking to go and progress and continue on. Like, you could see someone playing in Jasper that you might one day down the road be playing in a college, or you might see them on TV playing hockey versus a bunch of old guys that are out there pretending. So
Totally.
yeah, exciting.
And as a business owner with a Jasper Brewing Company, how do you think it would benefit the economy locally?
I think I'm actually not an owner but a manager, but just want to clarify that one. But I think for the business community, just getting people out of town, something to be excited about, switch it up, something different than just going down to the local place every night. Or like once you look at like a city like Edmonton or Calgary, when those teams play and they're successful and they have a big night, then that spills over into the restaurant industry and hospitality industry of fans going out and celebrating a victory, or like especially like a playoff run would be a good example of that. Like you look at the Red Mile or what happens in Edmonton when the Oilers go on a big playoff run. So I think that's a good example of what potentially could happen when a team is successful, which I think is an important part of having a team. Is the product has to be good. So.
I think it's also, should be noted that we more or less accidentally had a WSHL game here in November when we had 4 U.S. teams come up and play the 4 provincial teams, and because of scheduling or something, the holiday weekend in Canada, the game was moved from Hinton to Jasper, and it was packed house, very well received. Everybody had a great time, and that just sort of told Derek and I that we should put a little more effort into this to try to make it happen on a regular basis and have a full team here operating on a full schedule.
Is there potential for more U.S. showcases to take place in Jasper?
I would say there is, especially if there's a home team in Jasper. Whether or not, if we bring U.S. teams up again next year or in the years to come, and where we select to do it, always it's going to happen at the home ice, for the team we're playing. But there's always a chance that we might be able to get another one in here just on a special weekend basis.
And then just a question for Derek. At council today, the councillors were discussing some of the challenges with billeting. You had mentioned that there was a wait list in Hinton for billets. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, we just talked about the fact that billeting has been very well received right across the board, and I think the last count there's like 15 people on the waiting list or something in Hinton. So your people that usually open their homes and to billet families for hockey players, or it's usually it's not the same as just renting a room out there. So I don't think that would be that big of an issue personally. But,
In fact, it's likely to the contrary. People that take in a billet player wouldn't even ever imagine themselves renting a room out to somebody just on a rental basis.
Could Jasper players, worst case scenario, be billeted in Hinton?
They could be. I personally don't think that that's going to be the case, but it is a commutable distance. I think there's a couple of players from Jasper that go back and forth to this year. So.
Chuck, why did the Wolves fold, and what can you sort of say about protecting potentially team Jasper from say bad things happen?
So there's a couple of factors. Initially, let's say the first 3 seasons, we had a really good product on the ice. That league was fairly competitive. And then I think the volunteer-based model is really difficult to maintain. And we had a really good group initially headed by Dennis Fino and Kelly Bossio that did a really good job of organizing. But I just know myself of being involved, player coach on the executive, you name it. Always trying to track down volunteers was a major hurdle for us. On game days and things like that. So I think that it's that volunteer-based model was hard to sustain over time. Also, when you look at that model, it wasn't a pay-to-play model. Okay, so it wasn't a tuition-based model. The other thing is as well, you're looking at volunteer coaches, people in the program. When you bring in that pay-to-play model and then you establish professional coaches and have whether it's game day coordinator or whatever those types of things set up, I think it's more sustainable. I think also to the fact that if you look at senior hockey, it's a final destination hockey kind of thing. Guys are playing for the love of the game. There's a lot of time commitment there. They work other jobs, those types of things. So in this case here, we're looking at developing players that they're still progressing along, and for that reason, you're going to have a continuation of players coming in year to year, players advancing, leaving the community after they're done. So I think that they're two different items altogether, really.
Was one of your motivating factors doing this learning that a lot of Jasper players had to move to be able to play? Because I understand there's Jasper players on the Hinton team.
Yeah, for sure. That underlying factor is huge, and that's kind of what I started looking at. And I've actually looked at this before, at the junior B level and those types of things. But regionally, we're where we are, you would have a hard time attracting a league to come out here. Currently, right now, there's 7 players that are away playing junior hockey or at academies, and they,
Wow.
in that context, there right away, you see that you could have, this opportunity for local players, local kids to develop without having to leave home, and and then have that stepping stone when they're ready to go make the next step. They could, but they would be here developing right in Jasper.
That's good. Is there anything that the local ownership group would like to say that is important to you to get heard from the community?
I think that the one underlying thing that when I look at this, yes, it's a big task that we're looking at. I think if everybody works together and we want to achieve this, having a junior team in Jasper, I think that our community in the past has been known that they can pull together and make things happen, and so I'm confident in that part. But again, too, there's a lot of work to be done, and even with the meetings we've had, we're still in that stage of doing our homework, and we're not going to attempt something if we don't absolutely know that it's going to be successful.
How could someone in the community support you at this stage? Is there anything that they could do?
At this stage of time, I think just for positive support out there, try to think of the positives, we've got a small group right now, but we're willing to, if there's other people interested and willing to work with us, it's going to take a community to pull this off. It's not going to be 4 people.
Thank you.
I think to add to that, it's clearly at the city council meeting earlier today, the interest of the community, it will really be the deciding factor. There's plenty of things for the Jasper City Council to decide on with all of the other things they have to do with, but knowing that the citizenship of the community would like to have this team is important. So like to get that message out and then back in is critical.
Would someone
And I
want
think
to
to
write?
speak to that too, you know, the gentlemen from Edson and Hinton that are here are probably worth talking to about what you know, what it's meant to the community and what, you know, kind of the snowball effect that it's had there, and the success that has been in each of those communities in a short period of time as well. So I guess with that, we can just break to, if anyone else wants to do one-on-one interviews, we'll maintain and be here for a while.
Thank you.
all for coming.